Have you ever wondered how these men are changing their soft facial features into a more harder, angular and masculine feature in as little time as 6 months? And let me tell you, mewing is just one piece of an elaborate puzzle that will make enhancing your facial features not just easy, but certainly convenient. I found a lot of continuity of methods other than mewing in some of the most remarkable facial renovations. And no, they're not cosmetic. If you leave this video wanting to get cheek filler and chin filler, then that's on your own head. Some quaint dietary changes or integrations will certainly be considered, but fundamentally, I will leave you with a playbook that promises to keep you on track with these implementations for optimum results. As in my estimation, it's usually integration and sticking with these habits that is the barrier to gaining these particular fruits. And look, I know you've seen these videos before, but my promise to you is there's going to be at least one of these you've never heard of, and I give you full permission to call me a flaccid, frigid, froggy old man if you have heard of all of these. So let's analyze some faces. Let's take a look at this gentleman here, a fine young specimen. I'm sure you all agree. Actually, a very good foundation which to work with here, which is good, which is wonderful. You can kind of see here he's already got certain, hollow cheeks, squared off jaw, but as he begins to, this kind of looks very, very enhanced, maybe too much, but still nevertheless effective. The outcomes of being more angular and masculine have been achieved. You certainly can't discount that. So what might you suppose are the key actions taken in order to achieve what I would consider a enhanced angularity and masculine structural changes? Well, fortunately, he has dropped his routine, which I wanted to share, leading into the first practical measure that you should take. So this is all directly quoted from him. According to Melvin Moss's functional matrix theory, the body adapts to a new posture by straightening your neck and lowering your chin slightly. You restrict your nasal airways. Your brain realizes that your airways are being compromised and that it needs to change its facial structure in order to improve or get any kind of oxygen intake, causing a lengthening of the maxilla and mandible along with upwards and forwards facial development. This change will make your straight neck posture a new natural position with a more Chad-like appearance, in his words. So the first implementation must be neck and cranium upper back posture. Now, it's not that we don't know this, but it's that we're naive in thinking that it's good enough, and also that we constantly forget about our particular posture. So there's certain things that we have to do in order to not be naive and not forget this, and these are called chin tucks and scapular retraction. So we haven't even started talking about mewing, and already we have something that actually enhances the effects of mewing in and of itself. You'll notice if you lightly begin to tuck your chin with a mew, the pressure is far more pronounced on the back third of the palate. I also find a tremendous cue for this is because we spend a lot of time sat down and typically the anterior head comes forward and it carries this way, so it's actually the opposite of a chin tuck, is you actually push your head, the back of your head, into your headrest, or if you're driving in the car, you push it back into your car seat, or if you're at the cinema, pushing it back into the cinema seat, or if you're in an armchair, you get the picture. And in this way, you're starting to build up the habit and the patterns in order to keep this practice more consistent. Now, double chins are typically the consequence of something called poor thoracic extension. You need to get your upper back into a good position first. You need to get it technically out of kyphosis, otherwise you're going to constantly have this kind of double chin here. So you actually need to have a nice proud chest. I like to say tuck your scapula into your back shoulder pockets, get that proud chest, and then bring in the chin tuck with a light mew, and it's going to make a wild difference in terms of your posture and also how much pressure you're beginning to feel in the back third of the palate. Now, this next implementation will start popping those cheekbones and that jawline. One thing I absolutely swear by, and what's funny is I used to have the prior belief in this, is that you are holding much more fat than you think you are. Even me, who religiously goes to the gym 5 times a week for as long as I can remember, But also we need to remember that going to the gym and doing resistance weight training isn't technically going to be tied to any kind of lower fat or fat loss. What will is going to be the presence of 45 minutes per day of movement at about 60 to 80% of maximum heart rate. I absolutely swear by daily walks, runs, swims, or cycles. But here's the key point in this, because I know you know this already. You have to do this in a fasted state. Fasted cardio cranks up something called fat oxidation, basically turbocharging your fat burning engine while you are working out. When you exercise on an empty tank, your body starts to dip into its fat reserves for fuel, since glycogen levels are going to be lower. Not only does this help torch the fat in the moment, but it might also help fine-tune your body's fat burning prowess even when you're just lounging around. So it's like getting a double shot of metabolic magic for your long-term facial gains. If you're already weight training, excellent, but you have to be doing some form of cardio 45 minutes per day. I will reveal a little bit later in how I integrate this into my day and what I do while still maintaining resistance training. Of course, drinking adequate water can help reduce the water retention in your face, which contributes to that kind of puffy, bloated look. One study found that drinking water before meals actually enhanced greater weight loss over time. We also need to talk about alcohol. Alcohol intake causes dehydration and water retention in the face, making it appear bloated, especially things like beer. Alcohol also contains empty calories that are going to contribute to weight gain, which is going to have the reverse effect. There is, of course, merit to reducing sodium or salt in your diet, which can contribute to that big moon face. I think lymphatic drainage should also be mentioned here, as well as gua sha. So gua sha is like this chisel for your face. I didn't get out of my bathroom. Hold on, give me 1 minute. So here is my gua sha. And it's kind of like a chisel for your face, whisking away any excess fluid and puffiness to give you that kind of coveted contoured look by, using certain elements on this to define the cheekbones and the masseter and get all the tension out in the kind of neck area, also on the forehead and the brows. With each swipe, you're giving more blood flow a boost. You're also giving yourself a lift and a kind of firming effect that leaves you looking refreshed and radiant. I will add that I don't use this every single day. I only kind of leverage this when I am feeling a little bit more puffier. But yeah, more for kind of bloatiness. It's good for muscle tension, easing tightness. And it's kind of like a mini spa treatment. It sweeps away all the kind of stagnant lymphatic fluids in your face, reducing water tension, and you're getting this kind of temporarily slimmer, more sculpted visage. Now, this next part is going to be featuring the strong jaw and hollower cheekbones, and it is really all dependent on the size of your masseter muscle development. Now, the first thing I would say before mastic gum or kappa chewing is to add more collagen into your diet. When people talk about exercising the masseter muscle, of course you go to chewing, but what do you use chewing as a direct means of? Well, it's eating. So, fattier cuts of meat, bone, cartilage, oxtail. You want to be nose to tail dining. Don't be afraid of it. The additional fat, protein, and collagen will not only, work your jaw and your masseter muscles, but the nutrients are going to do absolute wonders for your skin, for your joints. I mean, primarily your skin. Your skin will glow. I promise you that. And what we're really talking about here is we want our face to appear more attractive. And if your face is glowing, is healthy, is free from kind of blemishes, there you go. As a side note, it's really interesting to look logically about the features we are seeking, dominant, masculine, which are all characteristics of hunters, of apex predators that typically nourish themselves on what? The kind of foods that I'm promoting. I mean, even when you think about the kind of the chin tuck, right? You're kind of, it's indicative of like prey scoping out, a predator kind of scoping out prey. So it's kind of like looking and scoping, When you're up kind of here like this, it's kind of like a more submissive start. But when you're like this, it's like you're zoning in. If you want more, angular features, eat dense, hard, robust, real food. If you want soft features, keep eating those very empty, fluffy carbohydrates in your diet. The solution actually is very, very logical. It's very, very obvious. So of course you can complement this with chewing mastic gum or hard gum. I actually have hard gum right here in my desk. I have some hard gum on my coffee table for downtime. I have hard gum in my car when I'm doing commutes. Look, the key here, gentlemen, is you know this already, but the key is convenience. Yeah, you all know that you should be doing this stuff, but when you're driving, you're going, oh, this is where I could be. Or when you're lounging downtime watching a movie, oh, I could be. Kappa chewing as well. I've got some a mold gum, which is one you put in for, you know, martial arts or rugby or football. Equally can give you some really, really good effects. I found you've got more surface area on your teeth, something maybe to look into. The danger here is TMJ, so like any muscle, make sure you're stretching, you're massaging it. You can use your hands, or you could use your gua sha to massage the muscle. So we'll move on to mewing, or correct tongue posture is going to be the bread and butter for palate expansion. Now the easy way to get into a good mewing posture is to make a sound with the chin tuck. Swallow a few times until you can't anymore, and exclusively breathe through your nostril. The swallowing allows the kind of tongue to stick up against the back third of the palate. There shouldn't be something that you should be, you know, promoting too much activity with. It should just be able to stick there. There's a difference between just regular mewing and hard mewing, which I'll talk about in a moment. But there are some more invasive procedures like MSE, maxillary skeletal expander can be used, which is a device that kind of screws into the back third of the palate, and it starts to widen the palate over time by widening the machine. Thumb or facial pulling can be a non-invasive option, which you can use with a little bit more control. So it's just taking your thumbs, going up and pulling the palate apart. Typically the back third of the palate, not the teeth, not the teeth. So essentially what you're doing is you're just mimicking the same effects as MSE. I find this more conveniently can be done in the bath or shower, or you can dedicate some specific time to this. I would always start off with 30 seconds, then 45, then a minute. There should be no pain, but you will feel pressure through the middle suture of your maxilla, which indicates that you're doing it correctly. But again, this shouldn't be painful. And again, I'll reiterate and emphasize that this is supposed to mimic a procedure that is a lot more stressful on your skull. You're not going to be able to create the same kind of pressure with your thumbs than with the MSE device. So typically you're going to be safer, and you're going to be able to control, the pressure and the changes over time comparatively to something a lot more invasive. Now, the key with all of this is to kind of circumvent mouth breathing and promote nasal breathing. So I find when going to sleep, I will leverage things like nasal strips. I will also leverage mouth tape, which I actually don't have on my person at the moment, but you can imagine it's just a tape over the mouth, or even, head binding, which is a kind of wrap that you put around your head in order to keep the jaw nice and closed and exclusively breathe through your nose. Now, as I promised, here is how I would break this down in a typical day, because the key here, gentlemen, is I know there's a lot of stuff that hopefully you should know already. If you found out something new, you can't call me any names. If you didn't, then leave some comments below. But here is the morning routine. Number one, wake up and hydrate. I make sure when I'm hydrating, I'm getting in my vitamin D, my boron, my other supplements. But get some water in. It's going to be excellent for keeping that water retention down. And also, if you're feeling a bit puffy, you can put on an ice pack. Then go straight into your cardio, 30 to 45 minutes. I am fortunate enough to live near the south coast of England. The beach is a 5-minute walk for me. So I either walk for 45 minutes to an hour while listening to a podcast. So I get up around 6 and do that. Some comes up around 5, so it's still very, very light. I will either do a 5K or I will cycle to, it's called Sandbanks here, which is where all the footballers buy all their houses and they go back to London, and they only come down here in the summer, really. But this is all again in a fasted state. I then come back and then I will do some kind of meditation or breath work. And this is really cool. When you're meditating or when you're doing your breath work, get the chin tuck in, and you can start with some hard mewing. I find the pairing of meditation and mewing such a no-brainer, such an easier one, and it's actually promoted in a lot of yogic teachings. This posture is actually called Yalabanda, which is called the throat lock. So, they knew about mewing ages and ages and ages ago via Jalabanda. Now, mid-morning, this is where I would typically start my first deep work session, and I will just pop in, like I said, I'll pop in some gum, or I'll pop in my gum shield. I know it looks weird. I'll get the chin tuck in the back of my chair. If you're commuting, maybe you need to drive to your office, great, gum, chin tuck up against the car seat. So again, all of this is becoming a lot more convenient. Late morning, after my first deep work session of around 2 to 3 hours, I'll then go to the gym. And when I go to the gym, guess what I'm popping in? Before I go to the gym, I'm popping in some hard gum or some mastic gum. There is something optional that you could potentially do at the gym, which is neck curls. Again, if the idea is having this masculine look, then having a wide masculine and muscular neck could be something. When I come back, I will either shower or bath, and I will do some thumb pulling. After I get out of the shower, I'll maybe hit the gua sha after I moisturize with some nice tallow. I actually put beef tallow, beef fat on my skin for moisturizer, and my skin has never looked any better. In the afternoon, I will break my fast with some fatty meat and collagen. Typically, my favorite is a ribeye, and I'll eat all the fats, nice and chewy, gelatinous, collagen, cartilage. Again, these are your opportunities to really not just improve your facial development, but every other aspect of your physiology. Now, in late afternoon, typically I'll have some downtime with some mewing. So if I'm watching a movie or watching a TV show, I can do that, or I can kappa chew. Now, with night prep, you can again use the gua sha if you're going to put any other moisturizer on, or maybe you have a kind of skincare routine. I would typically meditate, visualize, chin tuck, and mew again. And here is where you can optionally include some dedicated exercises. Maybe you do chin tucks up against the back of the wall. Maybe you do some jaw curls. It's kind of up to you. I haven't experimented with these too much, just because I'm seeing good results from what I'm doing already. And then, of course, before you go to bed, you can nose tape, you can bind, or you can, and I should say mouth tape as well, to exclusively breathe through your nose. Let me know if there's anything else that you would include in that routine that you find valuable, or any other pieces of game you should drop below. But these aren't theories, these are facts today, gentlemen. Speak very soon.